Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Alero Edu, welcoming you to Sunrise this beautiful Saturday morning.
You can see that the sun actually rose as we were coming on air.
It rises every day.
Yes, sir, you know. Good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makinde. Well, the sun rose in Abuja on the day that whole drama started.
Oh, about the seats, huh?
Yeah.
The seating arrangement that has caused a lot of furore.
And all kinds of, you know...
And all kinds of filth being dug up.
Please, be calming down.
Okay.
So, first of all, when you start a business, you are looking for what they call a spin-off.
Okay.
So, every business needs a spin-off to sustain itself. Okay. So, the business started, and there are some spin-offs.
Okay. All right.
Or is this spin-off?
Spin-offs. You know, in all of this, my issue is that, okay, the senator in question has been suspended for 6 months. Apparently, all her staff have been suspended as well, and neither she nor her staff will receive any salary in the said time span of 6 months. But my thing is that this is not the first time that a senator has been suspended, and all the others before her who were suspended did not have to forfeit their salaries.
Alero, you even make it sound like the senator needs the money.
Well, but it's still hard.
Well, yes. I understand what you're saying. I get it. I'm just saying, look, how does it change the price of bread? You know, but you know the dramatic thing.
I guess when you receive 29 million a month, if you don't receive it for 6 months, it's not really a big deal.
No, for some people it is, but me, please don't try it 1 month though. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is, unfortunately,
look, even the Bible, give to Caesar what is Caesar's.
Oh, no, actually,
even the Bible acknowledges that a worker deserves his wages.
That is the way the Bible puts it. What my own issue in this whole thing is, we seem to have left the disease and we are now treating the symptoms.
The very many symptoms.
And I think that is unfortunate. Now, one of the issues raised in the course of the week was, look, we can't legislate sentiments. And everybody knows that you put anyone in a particular light when you allege something that cannot be proven. You're alleging sexual harassment.
Oh, she says she has proof.
Oh, well, we haven't seen it.
We're waiting.
Okay.
She'll probably bring out all that when she goes to court.
Unfortunately, some other people have also said, look, this thing has happened
a few times.
A few times.
Yes.
By the same person, and also it puts... You know what makes this all even more, a little murkier, Alero? It's International Women's Day today. And some people believe that the whole month we're going to be talking about the international, about women. Yeah. So this is not a good start. It's not a good look for so many people that we're talking about women in this light, in this nation, at this time in our history. And with all that has happened over time, we shouldn't be talking about women in this light. And what another thing that saddens me is, in the whole melee, not once, at least I haven't seen or heard any other woman come on TV to talk about being harassed or being maligned or whatever on the floor of the Senate. And there are, I don't know, there are so many things that shall look like...
They shall look like... And look, the thing is, there are those who are for her, and there are those who are against her.
On what ground?
And then there are those young ones who are thinking of a career in politics, who will now be of two minds. I mean, is it worth it going there to sit among all these men who are going to abuse you one way or another? You know, there are only 4 women out of 109. Only 4.
Well, one thing we can say, Alera, is that this situation has given birth to something. The Senate is now looking at ways to improve the gender balance or equality in the House.
True.
Let's hope and pray that this also gives birth to what we expect. But this thing doesn't really start in the Senate. It starts in the political parties.
Well.
So are we going to legislate that all political parties, you now have to give a quota to women?
It's quite embarrassing that Beijing didn't have any effect on this. And Beijing, it's when how many years? Almost 20 years ago?
Exactly.
About
so
20
years ago. I was going to say, are you sure it's just 20 years ago? How about the one that this woman championed, Miriam Babangida? There was one she championed in her time.
Was it Beijing? I can't remember when Beijing, but Beijing is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And affirmation, this,
yes,
that, women's, and 4 women out of 109, is that the best that we can do?
Even the 4 women out of 109, what's their voice? What roles do they play? How many? I don't know, much about them because I haven't heard any one of them.
We do hear Senator Natasha's voice, even though we don't know who the other. Okay, we know Ireti Kingibe is one of them. Who are the other 2?
And unfortunately, each time both women that you mentioned came out, it's always been for, look, you guys are undermining us and all of those things. It's not a good look. Anyway, well, let's trust that the National Assembly, you should know what you're doing because it's not giving a good look.
Nigeria is a male society, and there's nothing anybody can do about
With
that.
50% of Nigerians being women?
We're trying to change that, but
50%.
You know the way the Nigerian man thinks.
No,
I'm talking, you are talking.
50% of the...
I mean, you're a woman. You don't talk when there are men.
50% of Nigerians are women, on the average.
It is not numbers. We're talking about our culture.
I know, but I'm saying that if women bunched together...
Yes.
The tide will turn.
Well, it'll take time. It'll take time.
There was a time we had more than 4 women in the Senate. Anyway, so what's the next thing? And another thing that I saw that's a little sickening, and I know that this happens all over the country, but I'm just going to use one example. I don't even want to call it a metaphor because it happens.
Okay.
When the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway from wherever to Ibadan was newly fixed, like everywhere was Siriri, where
shine, bobo.
And you didn't see traffic on the roads, especially along Abuja, building up to Abuja bus stop in Ojodu, end of Abuja. You didn't see a build-up of traffic at any time of the day, but now. Anytime from 4 p.m. and you are going home to Mowe or whatever, and you're going to pass through Abuja, your heart is literally going to be somewhere
up here,
up there. When am I going to get home today?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you look at what the cause of the traffic is, guess what it is in most cases?
Public transport system.
Public transporters blocking like 2 or
lanes.
1 or 2 of the lanes on an expressway.
There are 3 lanes on the expressway. These transporters, these damfos, take 2 of them.
At the bus stop. And the bus stop is most times free. And I'm wondering what's going
Lagos
on
State, Ogun State, please.
Ogun State, thank you. And once I was coming from Ibadan, and I think it was Mowe or Ibadan. I'm not sure which of those bus stops, because for the life of me, I'm not sure which one is which. I was coming and then I just, traffic. Oh gosh, another trailer has... When I got there, guess what I saw? Traffic caused by buses on the highway. So thank you for mentioning Ogun State as well. You just reminded me. Can we save time? Can we save lives? Can we save productivity and let traffic officials do what is expected of them? These things, somewhere in my mind, I'm seeing this thing also happening in Kano.
And across the other states.
And other states of the nation, especially on highways, for God's sake.
Quickly, before we go to the menu, I saw something that freaks me out during the week. They say we all have to get roadworthiness certificates every year, and there was a car on the Lekki Ekpe highway with nylon as the rear windshield, with sellotape stuck on it, you know, to keep it in place. And that one, I'm sure, passed the roadworthiness test.
Oh, that's not the only one that will pass the roadworthiness test. I have seen a saloon car. Or is it, what do we call it, saloon car? 4-wheel drive car with 3 tires on the road before.
And I'm sure it passed the roadworthiness test. That's the way we do it.
It was even video recorded.
That's the way we do it.
Anyway.
Keeping Nigeria safe is where we're going to start from this morning.
And we will be, of course, talking about the state assemblies. Of course, you know what we're talking about.
Oh, we didn't get to talk about Lagos State.
We'll talk about it.
In this, okay.
Yes.
It's International Women's Day, yippee!
And what's the theme and other things you'll find out later on. And then, I didn't know there was such a thing as colors of healthy diet.
Okay. And then, as usual, we shall close with the Artist of the Week segment. And we have a very exciting artist today.
A him or a shim?
A him. He's a he.
A he.
He's a he.
Where he goes, yeah.
So, get whatever catches your fancy.
Oh, yes. Like
whether it is cocoa, like my friend here, who has taken his... Oh, it's not cocoa.
It's not. It's
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You call cocoa like my grandmom.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I've apologized.
Or cocoa. Either of the two, both of them. It's okay. Oh, by the way, cocoa is more in the news now because of the time of year we are in.
Oh, yes, of course. We're all fasting. Muslims are fasting. Christians are fasting. Now, let's get the show on the road. Nigeria ranked 6th in the 2025 Global Terrorism Index with an increased score, having recorded 565 terrorism-related deaths in 2024, a 30% rise from 2023. Grim figures. The latest report, though, released on March the 5th, 2025, last week, ranked Burkina Faso as the most impacted country with a score of 8,581. I beg your pardon, 8.581, followed by Pakistan 8.375, Syria 8.006, Mali 7.9, Niger 7.7, and this placed them second. To look at this with us this morning, and I'm talking about keeping Nigeria safe, I'd like to welcome a security and intelligence expert, Dr. Felix Olorundamilola, who is with us in our studio in Lagos. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Wow.
And joining us via Zoom from Abuja is Professor of International Law and Global Security, Professor Ademola Abbas. Good morning, Prof.
Thanks for having me.
How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Very well, thank you.
Let me begin with you, Doctor. How well do you think we're doing in the fight against insurgency, against kidnapping, against, and the list goes on and on? Are we improving as the years have gone by?
Yes, we seem to be improving, but we seem to be improving when we have the new government coming in and there's a change in the security architecture. And there's a new energy coming to the table. But with this ranking, it shows that more work needs to be done for us to continue to build on what we have immediately after the change of leadership of the country. in 2023.
Prof, do you agree with him? Professor, do you agree?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, do you agree?
Well, it's a very important question. But on the whole, I think there has been a lot of improvement in terms of combating terrorism in Nigeria and trying to keep Nigerians safe. And if you look at the report, I'm sure we'll come back to that in a minute. I think it does speak to that to a large extent. Having said that, of course, there is a lot of improvement to be made, a lot of room for such improvement. And there are many things we still need to get right that we haven't got right yet. So to that extent, I would say, well, we can be cautiously optimistic for now that, it seems to be on the right path. The government is injecting more and more resources into the fight against terrorism. And also, but there are many dynamics going on in the region, globally as well, as on the whole, that, will indicate that there is need for us to be able to probably look into some other directions that we haven't been looking at so far. But on the whole, I think we're making some baby steps of remarkable improvement.
But it would seem like the military is not in cahoot with you, gentlemen, because the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Kangie, had said that that the Nigerian military will provide more accurate information or account of the country's counter-terrorism efforts than external sources. Let me quote something. Let me read out something that he's quoted to have said. That, look, something is happening in my house. I'm the head of the house. I have children. I have a wife, and someone else is reporting what is happening in my house to me. Which one would be more correct? The one that I tell you as the head of the house, or the one that is reported from outside? What's your take on that? What's your perspective on that, Prof?
Well, thanks, Ayo. I think you're the one speaking. Look, let me take you on the old analogy about the head of the house. I think there's something that is fundamentally wrong with Nigerian institutions when it comes to criticisms or observations about how they perform. I'll come back to the facts in a minute. But let me take you on the issue of the head of the house. Yes, in a very banal analysis, I could say as the head of the house, if anything happens to my children, I will know. But if I have been known to be a pathological liar myself, I've been known to bend the truth. I've been known as somebody who doesn't like to confront reality. I've been known like somebody who doesn't like to always wash my dirty linen in the public for anybody to see. Who is going to rely on me when I give account of my house, of what is going on in my children's life? One. Sure. Two, if I am personally walked in my mind and I see things fundamentally different from what reality presents me, then somebody is going to be at jeopardy if they take my word for it. That is to talk about the whole family analogy nonsense.
Yes.
You've got to look at something here. There is this kind of ninja reaction that our military seems to always, lap into. Let's talk about this particular, because I know that is where your distinction came from. Is the evaluation, so to say, the response of Nigerian military to the ranking by the Global Terrorism Index. They ranked Nigeria 6, right? Last year, 2023 ranking, which came out in 2024, Nigeria was 8. Now, when you look at this same report, it shows that on the whole, even though Nigeria is 6th position with 7.658 ranking, it shows that attacks in Nigeria have decreased generally by 37% from 2004, and that death has increased by 6%. But which is from last year till 565 today. But what is important, Ayo and Alero, is that even though death has increased to 565, 62% of those deaths were not caused by terrorists or civilians. They were deaths caused by intra-fighting of terrorists between Boko Haram and ISIL. And that result brought it out that the deaths that have increased is not the result of terrorists attacking civilians in Nigeria, no. It's the result of intra-fighting between ISIL and Boko Haram. That actually shows that it means that the military has been functioning very well to depreciate the capacity of terrorists to go after the civilian populace. Are you following me? Which means the result, the report actually complements our military to that extent, because if the report says, as it's saying, that look, generally speaking, attacks in Nigeria have increased in the same year we are looking at 2024, although deaths have increased. However, the deaths that have increased are not deaths to civilians. However, deaths to civilians have decreased itself from 38% in 2023 to 15% today, which means can be attributed to the fact that the Nigerian military has been doing a good job at decreasing the capacity of the terrorists to go after civilians. That is complimentary. But I am sure that the Nigerian military never read that report itself before they came out with their own whole ninja reaction and said, oh, you are the head of the family and this and that. Let me just finalize this. If you look at that page 34 of that particular report, it made it clear. It said globally deaths from terrorism have declined by almost a third since 2015 when it peaked, with Nigeria and Iraq recording the largest decrease. Now, the report said that in page 24. What about compliment can that report pay to Nigeria and the military? Because at the end of we are saying from 2015 to now, globally, Nigeria and Iraq have been the two that have decreased terrorism death by far, than anybody else. I am confident that the military never read this thing. They just took the sixth ranking and they went on, we have to look into what, we have to stop this nonsense. It's really sickening.
Okay. Doctor, referring to that same analogy, which Ayo made, and from what Professor has said about it, that when the head of the house keeps telling you lies about what is happening in his family, how can you continue to trust what he says to you? Also, factor in the suggestions that we have heard that some of the top brass in the military are colluding. They are involved in some of these things that are happening, especially in the places where Boko Haram is very active. When we hear things like that, we're not likely to take everything that they tell us, hook, line, and sinker, are we?
Yes, I serve in the military myself. So I know, so I can say some of the things, but, those allegations have not been proven. Because you know that some of the...
No, I use not the word I use, suggestions.
Suggestions, okay.
Yes.
So, because these terrorists, they are actually going after soldiers. They are going after ambush and killing our soldiers. And I don't think any commander will want to have that. So, I know that our military are doing their best possible, and that this insurgency is so very difficult to fight. Because it's not a conventional war.
No.
So it's difficult for our military. Some of us are not. Some of them are not even trained, because until we have this on our hands is when they start getting the training and the knowledge on how to combat this terrorism. It was not something that was part of our training in our military academies before. So it's something that they have to go.
It's new.
It's new.
Yes.
So and they are doing their best to keep the country safe. So, and terrorism, insurgency is not about military fighting alone. It's supposed to be a whole people approach.
Well, there is something that the Prof said about distrust.
Yes.
You may want to speak to that as well, Doctor, because Nigerians have no other option. What we have is all we have.
Yes.
We only have our security personnel, we only have our security apparatus, we only have the military. The military we have is the only one we have. Yes. The police we have is the only one we have. At the end of the day, distrust or no distrust, they are the only ones that we fall back to.
Yes.
But we want to be able to build more trust so that whenever we hear anything from any of our security apparatus, we can trust them. At the end of the day, they themselves are Nigerians.
Yes.
And they want the best for their country. So how do we rebuild this trust? Because it has to start from saying and doing, doesn't it?
Well, I think, like I said before, that is a whole people's approach. So it's not just the military. I think the civil society, the media has to help build that trust in our military. We know the numbers.
But we can only, my apologies, we can only report what we hear. For instance, part of what General Kange said was that the members of the media who attend the regular meetings of the military should be the one to stand and correct what we are being given.
Yes.
We hear that.
Yes.
But then it's an international organization. When it sounds good, we take it. But when it doesn't sound good, we reject it. Isn't it supposed to be some kind of...
No, it's not supposed to be so, because I want to align with what the professor said, that they actually not read the report. Maybe what they saw was that the ranking, and they reacted to it. Because I read the report, and I know that most of those deaths in Nigeria are caused by intra-fighting between the terrorists, the various terrorist groups operating in Nigeria. So it's not about the terrorist group and civilians in Nigeria. So that was why the ranking is the way it is. But is it the media, the civil society that will help build the trust in our military? Because the military are busy everywhere. And you know that we have a limited number of these men in our military. We can't have military that we patrol or secure all the villages or the communities in Nigeria. It's not possible. We don't have the numbers. So, but if we have where there are issues in communities where we have vigilante, amotekons and all of that, those are the people that can support our military. So that when we have those ones in community, in villages, then the military will now come in when those ones cannot cope.
You know, one of the challenges that I've always processed in my head is whether or not we're even giving enough attention to our military, to the officers on the fields. If they are going to keep us safe, the people who are going to keep us safe have to be safe.
Yes.
Do you feel they themselves they feel safe?
I think to the extent.
I'm asking because I mean you said you have been,
yes, I've been
in
there.
the military. So do you think that the way we are currently positioned,
yes,
the Nigerian soldiers and the rest of them, do you think they feel safe enough to the point that they can make us feel safe?
I think to some extent they are, because I know that, and I'm speaking because of my colleagues who are still there, and they think they are being encouraged, they are being motivated more than ever before, and the equipments are being procured for them to, even though there's also that room for improvement. Yes, but it's not what it used to be, so there's improvement.
Okay, Professor, speaking about the safety of the soldiers themselves and so on, how can we improve intel gathering, which I think is very important in this thing we're talking about? We hear that sometimes these terrorists go into villages and they are there and they operate for sometimes 2-3 hours, even though there are soldiers in the neighborhood. They don't show up till after the terrorists have finished operating and have gone, because no news gets to them that anything is happening and that their help is needed.
Well, thank you very much, Alero. Look, everything comes down to truth deficit of the civilian populace in our institutions, the military, the police, general, armed forces in general. And you can't really blame the civilian. It is also always easy for us to say, let's call on the civil society to help the military, to build trust in the military. Look, you go to the police station, you see an aphorism, police is your friend. You say that it's a banter they throw on a daily basis. But do you feel that police is your friend in Nigeria, to be honest with you? No. You feel that if police are out to get you, to attack you at the slightest opportunity. Just 2 days or 3 days ago, we woke up to read that a military contingent assaulted or invaded, I think it was Ikeja Disco office or Ikeja Disco or something like that, in Lagos, and that they manhandled, they rough-handled civilians, they did so many things in this and that. You begin to wonder, are we in a banana republic? That is the Nigerian Armed Forces members. We're talking about military. When we were growing up, when we saw people in khakis, in green khakis, we adored them, we admired them, we wanted to be like them. Many young boys wanted to be in the military because in those days, they symbolized, they personalized, they personified, discipline, integrity, or, respect. And they treated civilians with decorum. But today, you see military soldiers behaving like hooligans, because you have to be a hooligan to take your gun and go and invade a civilian, enterprise. Because of what? Because light was cut from your barracks. Is that the best result? Is that best? Now, how can I then, as a civilian who has gone through that, begin to help you build trust in yourself. Because you yourself don't even appreciate who you are as a military man. You don't appreciate who you are as a soldier. You've desecrated yourself before me. You've turned yourself into nothing before me. You've demystified yourself. So how can I begin to help you to gather intelligence? From who? You are not my friend. I don't see you as my friend. You see military coming out with their guns and threatening people with guns. You know, we've lived in other clans before. So we have to go back to the question of trust. One. Then number two, in terms of making military themselves safe, look, nobody is saying by any stretch of imagination, fighting terrorists is one of the easiest jobs you can do, even when you are a fine soldier. No, we know it's a very tough terrain. But then the government keeps saying they are pouring billions and billions into the military to buy equipment, to buy fighters, to do and data. Let's stop hearing about how much you are pouring and start hearing about how those monies, so to say, are beginning to change the narratives of the military. We want our soldiers to feel protected. No question about that. Give them the right equipment. Give them the right equipment they want, the right resources they want, but let them make judicious use of it. You know, I remember when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to power and people were asking whether he was going to probe the billions and billions that they said they gave to the previous leadership. And he said he was not going to probe them. I mean, I was disappointed in that. I thought as the commander-in-chief, if there were credible reasons for you to probe, our resources, taxpayer resources that were given to Nigerian institutions and entities have been spent, you should be able to do that. But having said that, you know, I could understand that you have to make certain political decisions at a point in time. But let's focus on going forward. We need a country that is going to be people-oriented. We don't have that yet in Nigeria. Across the level of our armed forces, we need to reorientate our armed forces. The Nigerian armed forces see themselves as they are still anti-civilians. No, you are supposed to be working for civilians in other climes, for goodness sake. You do not threaten the same people who are paying yourself.
Prof, well, it's going to be difficult to keep all of our security challenges insulated at home, particularly in the face of things happening in our neighborhoods, you know. The Sahel has always been big in the news, and you have commented quite a number of times on that. The crisis in West Africa is also something, you know, of significance. But before I go there, let's look at the source of the document. What is your take? I checked out the institution that is working on it, and I found that it's an institution based in Australia. Australia. Now, it has offices in other parts of the world and one country office in Africa. One, and that's in Kenya. So, in terms of credibility and believability of that report from the source that it is coming, is this something that we need to consider, or it's something we can just take and say, okay, it's credible enough?
Well, let me put it this way. If the report had come out and said that Nigeria is the best country today on the planet in terms of fighting against terrorism, are we going to be asking for the source at all? No, we are going to celebrate it.
Well, Prof, I'm a journalist. I'm a journalist. I will still probe the source, because for the life of me, they could be deceiving me if it's too good.
I'm going there. We are going to support it. We are going to jump up. What I'm saying is that, look, the report came from the Institute for Economic and Peace. That's based in Australia. Now, I am not so bothered about where it is located. At the end of the day, UN is sitting in New York. As a regional office in Africa here, you know, environment in Kenya, as the second office in Geneva. Switzerland is not even a member of UN. It's a neutral country. But you know what? Does most things that the United Nations want to be done. Whereas a country like the US, where it is seated, doesn't do most of those things at the end of the day. So let us stop burdening ourselves with the messenger and focus on the message.
Okay.
Having said that,
well, just a second. Let me ask the question. Let me ask the same question from Mr. Olorundamilola. Just a second. Just a second, Prof. I will come back to you on that. I just wanted to take Dr. Olorundamilola's comment on that as well. Does the source of the document, does it matter?
To me,
because it's not the only one. We consider the corruption index and a number of others like that.
Yes, some of these things are measured by global best practices. Okay. So you don't really bother so much about the source. But what is the report saying? What can you do?
Okay.
Because that is what should be important.
So, to you, that report is credible?
It's credible. It's a credible report.
Okay.
To me.
In fighting terrorism and in looking at our safety in Nigeria, we have noticed that there have been, I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe I'll just say competition between the security agencies. We have seen policemen fighting soldiers. We have seen, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So how can we engender more cooperation between these agencies, bearing in mind that their goal, their one goal, is the same?
Yeah.
To keep Nigeria and Nigerians safe.
You know, if I just take you back to what happened 9/11, you know, that 9/11, the reason why 9/11 happened in the U.S. was interagency rivalry. So, and the American learned the hard way. So there's must be interagency collaboration. And I think Nigerian security agencies have learned from that. You have to work together. And I want to say something about what the professor said about, you know, Nigerians also use soldiers to settle disputes. When they have land dispute, they go and hire soldiers against themselves. So
why should soldiers allow themselves to be hired?
Why should Nigerian civilians hire soldiers to settle dispute that is meant for, that should not be work of? But that's why we said, see, this is a whole people approach. All of us have to come to that consciousness that soldiers are not meant to settle internal dispute. Money lenders and all kinds of things. Because I have a brother who is a military officer, I will go and use him to threaten the other person. And, you know, so, and when it comes, you now blame the military. No. So all of us have to get that consciousness to know that our we have to build trust in our military. I serve in the military.
But you didn't answer Alero's question. Why should the military themselves allow themselves to be used to settle disputes?
Well, you know, I don't want to say because
it's a matter of cash.
Yes, you know the question. You know the answer. It's a matter
of cash.
You know the answer. So Nigerians, we must build trust in our military. It's the Nigerians that will build trust in the military, not the military themselves. Because if the civil society and the media will not do that, the military themselves cannot do much to build trust. We have to build trust in our military. They belong to us.
Okay, so now there's an issue that Alero also raised the other time, and I think you also went there earlier, about the communities.
Yes.
When we talk about keeping Nigeria safe, we're talking about protecting the territorial integrity of the country. But there are those who would point out the fact that they will point out the porosity of the borders. They will point out the vulnerability of the communities.
Yes.
Some of our communities are not walled, they are not fenced, they're not wired. It's just people. Yes. One step and you're in another country. Yeah. I mean, I even heard that there is a part of our country that this side is Nigeria, the other side is another country. Yes. So how do we, from that angle, insulate the country? So we are bordered around, right, by a number of countries. At least 3 or 4 countries border us. So in what ways should we be talking to our communities to protect Nigeria, to help them to protect themselves from imported insurgencies?
Okay, let's even start from the internal communities that we have in Nigeria. Like, I come from a border town between Ondo State and Kogi State. And for a long time, our farmers couldn't go to farm again because of these invaders who settled and they will kill them and they will destroy their crops and all of that. But what we did was, because we have some of us who serve in the military, we came together and with the help of Amotekun, we were able to make sure that we procure arms. And the community were the one employing the Amotekuns to protect the community.
So they know themselves?
Yes. And so they went after the invaders. So, and the same thing can be applied. Because, you know, those countries bordering us, you know, some of this problem is caused by lack of good relationship with neighbors, neighboring countries. It's part of it. So, because we were not winning that war in the Borno axis until we have a joint task force between Nigeria and Chad and Mali, because it's not something, because when they commit crime in Nigeria, they run to the other country. So, but when you encourage this community, inter-country, collaboration, you have, so they can't run to the other country, they can't run from that country, commit crime in Nigeria. So this is the way this fight can.
I'm actually concerned about the people in the communities who are vulnerable and who have no idea what this whole terrorism agenda is. They just want to live peaceably. Yes. And I'm already married to her child, yes, and she's married to me and all of that, and then you're saying that we have become enemies simply because. So it's that kind of conversations that I'm looking at. Is there a way that governments at any level, federal, state, or local, can bring the people? Let me take that to you, Prof. Is there any way we can bring the people in on that conversation so that the people themselves don't feel left to themselves, that they actually feel that they are part, not just of the problem, but of the solution? Would you kindly unmute, Prof? Okay, it's better. We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying that no, that's a very important thing to request. There is no doubt that there is need for a greater participation from the community, Nigerian community at large, in terms of securing the country. Security is everybody's business, as we say in the popular parlance. But you see, somebody has to take leadership for that. You began your assessment by talking about how porous our borders are in Nigeria. In Yoruba land, we say, Amukun, one area, only Isalenikewu. Amukun is somebody who is crooked, who is carrying a load on his head. And it's always crooked, like, And you say, oh, Amukun, but you are crooked. He said, well, why are you looking at what I'm carrying on? Look at my foundation. I've been crooked from day one. Those who are tasked with securing Nigerian borders, actually, don't forget, they are custom and excise people. They're custom people. Nigeria is one of the, if not the only one, I don't want to make a large claim, it's one of the few countries in the world where you have custom more bothered about collecting levies and taxes and revenues for government. That is not the job of a custom officer. The job of a custom officer is to police your borders, basically. But we created a custom, for whatever reason in this world, we then saddled the custom with collecting revenue. So they completely abdicated almost their roles as policing the borders for collecting, because it's much easier to make money through collecting revenues. It's not the job of the custom. So you cannot begin to talk about engaging the community when the primary agency that you've delegated the responsibility to police, our borders is not doing that job. So we have to start with the custom. For a long time, we have been pushing for the government to take away revenue collection. If you go to the United Kingdom, you have HM revenue separate from the custom. In most countries, they are separate. We've been pushing that from the background, actually, through some initiatives to make government take away that revenue from custom so they can focus on their primary job. And thankfully, the current government has taken that step. Kudos to them for that. It's a very significant thing. So you can then begin to have a more professional custom, that you focus on border protection. Having said that, now, go forward. How do we engage our communities? Yes, somebody should take the lead. Now, we have almost integrated, if not totally integrated, our traditional rulers into the architecture of governance in Nigeria. They are paid salaries by the state today. They are paid salaries either by state, but they are now in the mainstream. Our traditional rulers should step up in bringing they are the last bastion in the community governance. They should be able to bring people together, leverage their authorities as traditional rulers on behalf of the government, of course, and be able to bring people closer to the government. If you are waiting for the federal government or state government to begin to create that particular space, it won't work. We have seen on the the Supreme Court gave that judgment last year. We saw clearly how difficult it was for states to actually deal with local governments. Everything came down to everything came down to finances. Well, at the end of the day, that is the first and the last thing you want about governance in Nigeria. It's about money, money, money. So if you want to leave the job of bringing the people closer in the discourse, and that discourse should happen in the national discourse of how people can get more, how people can get more involved in the fight against terrorism, in making this country you must leverage traditional institutions, faith-based institutions. Look, Nigerians would rather listen to their pastors than to listen to the government. Nigerians would rather listen to their imams than to listen to some governor, what governors are telling them. I can tell you for free today, if someone like Pastor Adeboye in his church stand up and tell Christian community in Nigeria that, look, we want you to be able to collaborate with this and that to bring more, they are likely to listen to that man more than they will listen to your governor. It's a fact. That is who we are as a country. That is who we have become as a country. If that is what we have, if that is the weapon we have, let's work with it. There's nothing wrong in that. If we have credible men of God and women of God, credible traditional rulers who can do the job, let's go for them. And if governors who have been paid much more now because of the subsidy and this and that, if they can wake up and realize that they owe this duty to their people, so be it. But for now, there's nothing to give any joy in that. All we hear is the trillions. The federal.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, let me bring this question to you, Doctor. We're talking about keeping Nigeria safe. Yes. A lot of talk we have heard and we have spoken about state policing. If that were brought into the equation, would Nigerians feel safer?
Nigeria would feel safer with, what do you call it now?
State police.
State police.
Yes. So,
yes.
But why are the states all dragging their feet? Many of them say that they're in agreement, yes. They want state police, but no state is doing anything concrete about it.
I think state police is already existing in one form or the other. Like I just referenced my own state, Ondo State, where we have Amotekun by our former governor, our late governor. And that has helped the communities. You remember that there was this terrorist attack in Owo, where the governor even actually came from, where the Catholic Church was going, they went there and they killed a lot of people, worshippers. And so that helped to kind of, trigger that to say, look, we must deepen the job of Amatekun in the state. And it was with Amatekun, even in my own community, our farmers couldn't go to the farm again because we're a border community between Ondo State and Kogi State. But it was with the help of Amatekun. Bicycle were, motorcycle were procured for them, and guns were, and they were able to go to the farms to secure farmers when they go to the farm. And because these invaders saw that no, we've taken this step, they left. They left the community alone. So I think state police, but the former leadership of said they don't believe in state policing. The president did say that, President Muhammad Buhari. And so because of that body language, but now that we have a new leadership, we expect that state policing should be, because people will be able to trust. Imagine if you have someone who is from your community who is also the DPO. So people will trust them with more information, because intelligence is about information sharing. You go to them and tell them a new person has just arrived in the community, we don't know who is he. So that is the way it is done.
Prof, what are your thoughts on state policing? Would it help our situation?
Absolutely. I support it 100%. Look, let me tell you something, Alero. I was one of the people who brought together under Dawn Commission Development Agenda for Western Nigeria to actually establish Amotekun a few years ago. That was at Ibadan when the governors met and had that summit. We were somewhere finalizing what Amotekun should be, doing the concept work and this and that, when the governors were doing their own political thing. So I was central to forming the formation of Amotekun. That was because we had the issue with herdsmen, then the herdsmen and farmer crisis and this and that. And we thought there was a need at that point in time for what we used to have in those days, like a guard in the forest guard, that we should have, some lightly armed civilian policing, so to say, that would go into the forest and be able to police our farmers and stuff like that, and create a bit of security at a much more local level than what the state could provide. So I've always been a supporter of policing. And look, let's stop demonizing ourselves. Because those who are against it will say, oh, in Nigeria, if you use it in Nigeria, they're going to use it to humiliate, to hunt, to hunt down the political opponents and this. We always find exception for what we don't want to do in Nigeria. Before you propose anything in Nigeria, somebody's already thinking about exception, why it will not work. Nigeria is not the rarest country in the world, for goodness sake. In some countries, they have policing in universities. Go to America, some Indiana police, we have police in universities. We're talking about states here. I don't think there's any state in Nigeria today that will be less than 1 or 2 million people. There are countries in the world that have over 1 million people. Nauru, 500 and something thousand. There are many countries that are under 1 million. So you have states in Nigeria that, no, I don't think a single state in Nigeria is less than 2 million or 3 million today. So if you have countries of 500,000 people, 1 million people all over the world, and there are nothing less than 20 countries that I know that are less than 1 million people in the world. And there are countries, they have embassies, they have airports, they have police, they have army. So why can't you have a state of 2 million having a police, for goodness sake? There's nothing wrong with that. What we need to do is to make sure that we build mechanisms in that system to make sure that they will not be used for what they should not be used for. It's as simple as ABC. So there's nothing wrong in that. And it's high time we go.
Talking about, this whole state police thing only raises more questions than answers. But, I'll be honest with you, Dr. Olorundaminola, my own issue is at the lowest levels. There are those who have said that, and security operatives such as yourself, security agencies or, consultants such as yourself, have said that the issues of insecurity are a lot more non-kinetic than we look at. Poverty, yes, joblessness, unemployment, hunger, corruption, and all those things. And someone who couldn't afford a pair of shoes gets to become a counselor, and within the shortest possible time has built a house. So one is wondering, is there a way we can approach these insecurity issues, these safety issues, from those non-kinetic ways, particularly deploying our political infrastructure and apparatus?
As we are talking about preventive measures.
Yes.
Yes. I think that, it should come from government. I think there was a time in the National Assembly we were talking about something like that, if you are living beyond your means, there should be a way of, even not just political appointees, even civil servants. Because you find out that even in Nigeria, researches have shown that civil servants are even more corrupt than the politicians. You will find out that some of them who have their children schooling abroad and all of that, they are top civil servants, because the politicians are not the one writing the checks. They are not the one preparing the budgets. They are not the real accounting officers, are the civil servants, top civil servants. And they know how to hide some of these things. And they are the one who teaches our politicians how to do this, how to do that. That once we know that people are living above their means, then we should not wait till all the money has been stolen. There should be a system in place that makes you not to live above your means.
Prof, your take?
Well, all I can say is I wish you best of luck in that, Ayo. You are going to open a Pandora's box. It's a whirlwind. It should be done. It's something that should be done. It's something that we need to embrace as a nation. If you look at Sena climbs, if you are riding a bicycle yesterday and your neighbor knew you were riding a bicycle yesterday, and you came back today from work and you came with a BMW, and you tell your neighbor, oh, I just bought it. He will ask you, why? Where did you get it? Oh, I just bought it. Oh, fantastic. He will celebrate with you. The next is calling police to check you out. That it's always known you to ride a bike, but now you are riding a BMW overnight. That is a system where there's transparency. That's a system where there's conscionability. But we're on a system that if you are riding a bike yesterday, or you had no penny in your account yesterday, and the very following day you came back with a G-Wagon and 100 million naira in your account, the first one that will call you is your pastor to remind you have to come and pay your tithe.
But the question I'm asking really is interventions that we have, just a second, interventions that we have, right, that will deal with the poverty problem, deal with the unemployment problem, and deal with the corruption problem, just as you are highlighting. Because some people have also indicated that the root of corruption itself is poverty. I don't want to be poor again. So I put my money on the till, until I leave the till, and then I can live off the things that I took away from the till. So is there a way, do you think we're doing enough to eradicate or reduce poverty and the vulnerabilities to poverty through our political structures?
No, straight away, we are not doing anything near enough at all. Look, we are in a country in which the disparity between the rich and the poor is criminal. It's not just wide in Nigeria, it's criminal. We are not, I mean, there is no social safety, no safety net for the downtrodden Nigerians. You know, in other climes, you are out of school, you have no jobs, government pays you a certain amount of money, give an accommodation, pays you some amount of money to be able to look after your body and soul. Once you can get food, once you have an accommodation, no matter how flimsy the accommodation is, and more often than not, there's like a single bunk, but you have a room to use, it's your room. Government pays for it. You have a room, you have a single bunk, and they give you something like maybe 50 pounds or 70 pounds a week to be able to buy your basic needs, food and whatsoever. If you want to smoke, they take care of those basic things. You are no longer worried about food and accommodation. That's your poverty reduced at least by 50%. You can then begin to think, and the same government will encourage you, look, we're giving you this, you have to go out and look for a job. They create job centers. There are no job centers in Nigeria. Government doesn't care whether you're out of the school and you have money or you don't have. Today you have graduates, you have master's degree holders who don't have anywhere to turn to. You have doctors who have nowhere to turn to. So we are not doing anything near enough in the country at all. And we live in a country in which you have, people earning 29, 30 million naira a month. And when a government is struggling to pay 70,000 naira a month to the largest amount of Nigerians, you're talking about 85 or 90%.
Essentially, Prof, you're saying that the political office holders need to buckle up.
Completely so. Completely so.
Okay, all right.
Prof, I need to take your last word on this. Your parting shot. One sentence, please, Prof.
My parting shot today is going to be to the Nigerian military. When next a report comes out, I will implore you to please take some time, read the report comprehensively before you come out and make a comment. Don't perceive every single act of criticism as an attack on you. Criticism can only make you better, but don't make yourself look ridiculous and embarrassing by attacking things that are actually complimenting you. E.g., this particular report compliments you. Next time, take 1 or 2 minutes, read and digest before you come out and speak to the public.
Okay. Doctor, your last word.
Let's continue to build trust in our military. They have the ability to keep us safe.
Of course, you would say that, being a former military officer yourself. Dr. Felix Olorundamilola, security and intelligence expert, who was with us in our studio in Lagos. And we were also joined by Professor Ademola Abbas, Professor of International Law and Global Security, who joined us via Zoom. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Sunrise will return in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Okay, for those of you in certain states, let me try not to mention any state assembly. You would know why this is of issue. Because one of the things I've always contended is, look, if we get it right in the legislature, we'll get it right in the executive, and we would have no option. Because in the Constitution, going by the listing, the legislature always comes before the executive. And that is why when the president or the governor goes to the House of Assembly or the legislature, he bows before the Senate. It is only out of respect that the president of the Senate or the Speaker of the House will curtsy or bow or whatever before any governor, not as a form of duty. It is the duty of the governor to bow before the mace, which is right or usually placed before the Speaker in the House of Assembly. So, separation of powers is a hallowed constitutional principle of a democratic government, and particularly of Nigeria, and for the three arms of government to stay in their assigned tasks to avoid arbitrary excesses by any of the arms. So the ideal is that the legislature makes the law, the executive, of course, executes the law, and where there is contention, the judiciary interprets the law. So what has been happening in the state houses of assembly in some states in the nation is troublesome. It's concerning for a number of people. So let's have conversations this morning with two gentlemen. One of them we'll begin with now. He is his Babashola Uwaje, who is with us in the studio. He's a politician and actually contested to be a member of a House of Assembly. You hear the details as we go on. Good morning, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
As I said, we'll still have the other guest join us. So, Mr. Uwaje, again, thank you for joining us. At some point, a good number of Nigerians, particularly young people, will be wondering, you hear this is happening in this state, that is happening in that state, and both of them, the tales are not similar, but it all concerns the State House of Assembly, which is supposedly representative of the people, which means whatever they do or say represents what the people in their constituencies ask them to do. Is that the sense you get?
Well, with what has been happening, when we talk about State House of Assemblies and separation of power, especially at this particular point, we know that some State House of Assemblies are not getting it right. And when you look at it, it's more or less obvious that the people in the House in the first place are not speaking on behalf of the people. You see a situation whereby decisions are being made and they are being reversed, and you start to wonder if it's actually the people that they represent that sent them to do all of the things they are doing there. So at this stage, you begin to wonder.
Is it possible to separate politics or politicking from governance? Because it would seem like political dynamics has kind of come to play in some of the cases.
So after elections, we move into governance,
Unexpectedly.
Well, that's what should be the norm.
Okay.
And when you look at what's going on, you see a lot of political interference in governance. What this does is that it slows down the wheels of governance, and it also goes to show that you can never really distinguish politics and governance, especially in Nigeria and a lot of states.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Sunusi Musa also joins us this morning. He joins us virtually. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Musa.
Thank you very much, Aya.
The issues must be concerning for you as well, even though the ones we're hearing of are more in the southern part of the country. But it is something that is of concern in various parts of the country as well. There is good reason to believe in some quarters that the governors in a good number of states have, quote-unquote, pocketed the state houses of assembly. Do you see the state houses of assembly in Nigeria as being as independent as they ought to be?
Well, you see, sometimes there is not really a clear-cut answer to such issues, because if you say the State House of Assembly are pocketed by the governors, then you now have to look at it why. Look, the system is such a way that, one, we have to understand that nobody is expecting the State Houses of Assembly to be fighting with the governor. That is not it. Okay, then the second thing is, what is the expectation of the public from the members of the State Houses of Assembly? Is, of course, in ideal situation, is just for them to make laws, to approve the budget, all those other things. But then today, you expect your legislature to come and start building what they call constituency project. not the one that is done generally by the state. You expect him to be dishing out largesse. Like now we are in Ramadan, each member of the State House of Assembly will have to distribute at least a trailer of rice. And I know when it is Christmas, there's something, New Year, there's something, naming ceremony, you want them to donate, wedding, it is them, burial, it is them. All right, how do they get this money? They have to befriend the governor, because it is when the governor patronizes them, they can be able to do all those things.
Wow.
So the issue is, if a legislature decides to say, no, I will just do my legislative duty of making laws, believe you me, he will not be re-elected next time. That is it. So, and if he said that, okay, look, what this governor is doing is unconstitutional, and I must fight it and stop it, you will see that from his party, he may not even get a ticket. So it is a system that we have, that if something is be done, it's not just for us to blame those who are elected as members of the State Houses of Assembly. They are members of the general society. They cannot live in isolation. They are not an island. They live within the society. They need acceptability within the society. So they must behave in such a way that the society will accept them. And unfortunately, you see that even those you call the elites, that is, those that ought to know, you see them praising legislators for influencing employment of one person or another, for influencing appointment of one person or the other. What does that tell you? That employment is no more based on merit. Appointment is no more based on merit. It's based on patronization. So how do you expect a legislator who wants his people to be patronized now to start being independent of what the executive do? Certainly, it's not possible. He must do things in such a way that he will reconcile his constitutional duty as legislator and how he will remain acceptable to the people, so that he will get re-election, because politicians are office seekers. So whatever they do, they always have back in mind that how to get that office back.
Well, I'm a little bit fuddled, Mr. Musa, because, I mean, you are saying what many may or may not know to be true. But it's the constitutionality or otherwise of these things that we should be looking at. As to what you have painted, true as they may be, borders a good number, a chunk of the way on the merits of whoever is in office. If patronizing is one way to go, then governance will suffer, don't you think?
Well, see, some of those things you have to really try to reconcile them. While legislators are elected to represent various constituencies, the governor has the entire state as his constituency. It's just like Nigeria. The president is a president of Nigeria, and the entire country is his constituency. He drives his legitimacy from the vote of Nigerians all over the country.
But he's
like
not.
A senator, a member of House of
It's just a second, Mr. Musa. The president has Nigeria, almost 200 million people thereabout, as his constituency. So do the senators. So do the members of the House of Representatives. In the same thing in the states, the governor has one constituency, but the House of Assembly has a lot more than one. That is the reason that the legislature is listed before the executive. So constitutionally speaking, it will seem like we're devolving the authority to patronizing the people in office, as opposed to doing what the Constitution itself says, because by the time they are done distributing one trailer of cows, one trailer of rice, and all of those things, where's the money to perform governance?
Well, look, when we are talking of enthroning good governance in the country, it is not the duty of one person. It is the duty of the public, the masses. It is my duty, it is your duty It is the duty of the media. So I always laugh when people say that the legislatures have been pocketed by the governor. If the legislatures are pocketed by the governor, what of you, the people? Because the Constitution has provided, has addressed all these issues. The Constitution has made provision for recall of legislators who are not performing their duty. That is for the public to do. The Constitution has given power to the legislators to remove a governor who is not performing his duty. So what I'm saying, if the legislature, if truly the people feel the governor is not doing what he's supposed to do constitutionally, and the legislature have refused to impeach him as provided by the Constitution, the people are given the power to also recall all the legislators. Simple. So the issue now is, are the people doing their own part of the journey for good governance? No. So why will we now shift the blame to some others? Let us all be in the blame. But all this I'm saying is just theoretical, because as far as I'm concerned, you cannot say the entire 36 states of the Federation are not run according to the Constitution. There is presumption of regularity. Of course, if you have one or two isolation here and there that will show that there is a problem, fine, we can discuss that. But we have to have it in mind, the premise of the Constitution never envisaged a situation whereby the governor will be assent. That is why provision with respect to impeachment, it says gross misconduct. In other words, it's not any misconduct that will lead to removing governor from office.
Well, you know,
such misconduct must be gross.
How then, my apologies, Mr. Musa.
So many examples of what is gross misconduct.
So in this case, we're not even talking about the governors. We're talking about the state houses of assembly themselves. I mean, look at what's happened in Lagos, and what's happening in Lagos, and what's happening in Rivers State, for instance. Now, these are two houses of assembly. And I'm wondering what you make of the two. Are there similarities? Are there differences that you want to look at as examples of what may be happening in other houses of assembly in the country?
Okay, now, what happened let's start with Rivers. Me and you have seen it where the members clearly announced that they have decamped to APC from PDP. To the extent that the national chairman of PDP wrote a letter to INEC requesting that elections should be conducted because those seats are vacant. Now, from nowhere, they decide they have seen the unconstitutional. They realize the unconstitutionality of what they have done. They now say they have rescinded their decision. Okay, the issue, the question is it possible after you have clearly said you have decamped, which by that decampment you have now stand to lose your seat? Can you now come back and say that, no, I have rescinded that decision, or that I have never decamped? Because that's what they said, and no evidence was laid before the court to show that they decamped, actually. Now, something illegal. The members of the State House of Assembly decided to impeach the speaker, so they said. But for me, let me say remove the speaker, because the Constitution used the word removal. They removed the speaker. Now, they elected a new speaker. That speaker now has decided to relinquish that mandate given to her by her colleagues. The other members, if they like, the removed speaker is still qualified to contest. And if they find him worthy, they can still re-elect him to come back and continue being the new speaker. Now, for the Rivers State House of Assembly, since now the Supreme Court has given a judgment that they remain the members of the State House of Assembly, that is the law as it is. But now, the issue now is the honor of those people sitting in the House of Assembly. People that have clearly said that we are no more members of the party on which platform we are, we got elected into office. Now, because they realize that they are going to lose their seat, they say, no, we did not say so. Okay. It's for the people to now decide whether that appendage given to them of honorable, whether they are honorable enough.
Okay.
But since the Supreme Court has said that, what else can you do?
Okay.
But you know, we just have to understand one thing. Politics is not about law. Politics is evolving, it's dynamic. There are so many things that will make legislators to take a political decision. So such decision sometimes may not be apparently
Mr. Musa, we'll come to the politics of it, because it's really very interesting. We'll come to the politics of it in a bit. But
yeah.
Mr. Waji, what is your take, particularly those two examples? From what Mr. Musa has surmised is both houses of assembly capitulated on initial decisions. So, but what do you make of that?
Well, there is what the Constitution says, then there is the way Nigerians or Nigerian politicians interpret it. There are two different things. Ideally, we shouldn't have those 27 members, in the House of Assembly in Rivers State again, because it was clear they did rallies, they wrote letters, and these
But the Supreme Court said there was no evidence. That means whatever evidence they had never really existed.
So it's painful on the eyes, especially for Nigerians that are not in government, that are not part of this governance. You see something and right in front of you, it's changed. But it's the Supreme Court, and their decision is more or less final. So kudos to them. They played, and I think they got away with it. When you come to Lagos...
No, but Mr. Oje,
yes.
Is it not obvious to which party a person belongs by, what meetings he attends, for instance? If they call an APC party, and this person who says, oh, no, it's not true, I didn't say that I had defected, and he is at the APC meeting, isn't that enough evidence that he has defected?
We're saying the same thing, because we saw rallies, we saw videos, we saw letters, at different instances. But now, they still come out and say they never defected. It's baffling, it's confusing.
Did they just threaten to defect?
It wasn't a threat.
Okay.
It wasn't a threat.
They actually defected.
They actually defected, But it's the Nigerian, political landscape. It's very, like you said, it's very dynamic. It's very confusing.
Sometimes murky.
Very murky. Not sometimes. It's always murky. It's just a situation whereby things like this discourage younger people to come into politics. Because he said, are you honorable enough? Because people in the House of Assembly are called honorables. So do you call yourself an honorable and you do all of this in the eyes of the world? Because these videos are there. The internet never forgets. They would, even after they are long gone from the face of the earth, these videos will still be there, that there are some people that defected and they came back to claim that they never defected. And you see videos contrary to that effect, and you see a Supreme Court judgment that supports what they said. It's sad, but the verdict of the Supreme Court is final in this case. Okay. So I think we can move on from that. Okay. It has happened, and, kudos to the people of Rivers. There's not much they can do.
But you wanted to cite the example of Lagos earlier.
For Lagos State, it was just... It's equally sad. We had a speaker that was duly removed by the majority of the House. It was clear for all to see. And we saw the hand of Esau in play. And it was obvious that powers that were not in the House, made decisions on their behalf and reinstated the removed speaker. I don't see the independence, of the State House of Assembly in Lagos State. But it's obvious, because we started to hear arms of government that are not in the Constitution. They say there's a GAC that made decisions on behalf of the people that were duly elected by people in their various constituents. I don't know how they go back and tell their constituencies, you know, the decisions they made when it was obvious that they didn't make those decisions themselves.
Just a second on that. I know Alero has a question for Mr. Usa, but just on that very quickly. Yeah. One of the statements that we heard is that no politician today in the country has gotten into office without a political party. And there is usually this statement about party supremacy. So whatever decision is made, whenever there is a political brouhaha in any environment, particularly in a democratic setting, the party finds a way to step in and take a decision. Maybe that is the basis of the drama.
Agree, but the decision had been made already. Why ridicule the people in the House of Assembly? When the former female speaker, you know, when she came into office, we saw videos of her being celebrated by members of staff, by her colleagues, you know, there were prayers and all of that. And when the current speaker came back from America and, you know, his security details were reinstated to him and he came to the House of Assembly, it was very obvious that his colleagues saw the writings on the wall because we saw clips of them not being able to do anything. You know, some of the lawmakers were crying. It was not a situation where you have to cry. Things, you know, decisions were meant to be made. And when they made those decisions, you know, it was obvious that would I call it a knee-jerk reaction? Because that Madam Speaker was in her house for 49, she was Speaker for 49 days, you know. So it was obvious that, you know, maybe they didn't consult well in their party. Are we going to say there were cracks, you know, in the party hierarchy? Because for them to have taken the decision initially, someone would have given the go-ahead. So what now happened at the end? So it's just, I mean, it's the political situation that that is not palatable, especially to us, the watchers, you know, from outside.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Musa, fortunately, you are a senior advocate of Nigeria. It seems that a lot of these things are happening because of the involvement of the judiciary and the decisions being taken by the judiciary. What is your take?
Well, you know, the judiciary is performing its duties conferred on it by section 6 of the Constitution. And I think we should understand that there is difference between having an evidence in the public and difference with having an evidence before a court of law. So the fact that there is evidence in court of public opinion, as long as that evidence is not presented before the court of law, the court of law cannot give judgment based on what the judges or the judge hears from news or from his friends or from reading newspapers. He has to work based on the evidence that is presented before the judiciary. Of course, I'm not saying that the judiciary is free of some of the allegations that are being made. And it is also very serious for the judiciary to look at those things because the judiciary cannot afford to close its eyes to what the public are saying about it. The perception of the public is very, very important. But that does not mean the judiciary will be reaching decisions based on public sentiment. No, certainly no. Where there are no evidence before the judiciary, of course, you don't expect a judge or a quorum of judges or justices to give judgment based on public opinion. Certainly no. And judiciary will always have to play a role, more especially in democratic settings, particularly in democracies like Africa, where the politicians who are expected to be statesmen are not playing the game as statesmen. Because there are things that if you are a statesman, once an allegation is made, because of their position and because of the fact of the honor of the office you are holding, to serve the honor of that office, even if that allegation is not correct, you should step aside for a proper investigation to be done so that the truth can be said. And if these people are statesmen who are elected by the people, they should be reaching decision based on what they know is the opinion, the interest of the state, not the interest of some few people. So when these things are not there, you will see decisions that sometimes that will conflict with the Constitution or with the common sense, then you have to run to the court. But if you go to the court, it is duty of both parties to be diligent in prosecuting their case and presenting the evidences that should be presented before a court of law.
Okay.
Where any side refuses to present evidence that ought to present and start saying everything is in the public opinion, the court cannot give you judgment based on public opinion. And I want to you read this issue of party supremacy. I think we should try to understand the concept of party supremacy under parliamentary system of government and under presidential system. The presidential system we borrow from America. The parties are just like vehicle for winning election. Once after the election, more or less, you see the parties have no any role to play in governance. But not like in the parliamentary system of government. Let me cite the Indian example for you, where it is the parties that are voted and the parties now nominate who to represent particular constituency. In places like India, whenever decision is going to be taken by the parliament, the party, each party will now announce its own position on that issue. And any member of that party in the parliament that went to the house and vote contrary to the position of his party, the party will write to the speaker to declare his seat vacant. We don't have that in our constitution. So supremacy of the party in a presidential system is more of a theory. The practical aspect of the supremacy of party is a parliamentary system of government.
Okay, so the issue you raised the other time, Mr. Owaje, well, that's some enlightenment there. But the issue you raised earlier about making this whole thing, interesting or exciting for young people is a concern, isn't it? So what would be your counsel? You have contested to be a speaker, to be a member of the House of Assembly before. So what would be your counsel to young people who are finding this whole drama quite dramatic indeed?
The drama is dramatic.
I think we shouldn't. I would advise and counsel that we shouldn't relent. Okay. It's very important that we get into politics and we get in early. The moment we begin to raise our voices where it matters, I believe the change can happen, especially from within. We have people in these parties that, in Lagos, we hear things like Baba Sokwe, that local parlance. But if more of us get into politics, we should be able to influence the way these decisions are being made. It will not happen overnight, but...
Well, it's been 20-something years now.
We'll keep trying.
This overnight is a very, very long one. Your parting shot, Mr. Musa.
Just before you go to his parting shot,
okay.
And talking about young people, do you not see it also as something that the young people have to do to impress upon them the job of lawmakers? It is not to be distributing rice and distributing cows, like he said earlier.
Yeah. So there's expectation and there's reality. The expectation of a lawmaker is to formulate the laws and, ensure that the executive are carrying out the laws accordingly, scrutinize the budget and all of that. But the reality of a lawmaker is to ensure that his people back home get the dividends of democracy from the executive.
Which includes rice.
And cow.
Well, Mr. Musa, your parting shot, 20 seconds.
Well, I think in this road for good governance and enthronement of good governance in our country, it is all our duty, the duty of the young people, the middle age like us, and the old people. What we need is not about age. It's about that. It's about having the honor to do the right thing.
Okay.
And like he said, the young people should not relent. They should join and participate. No, politics is very important, and all of us must be active to ensure that, because it is the only vehicle that you can enthrone good governance in our country.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time this morning. At least now we know that part of the dividends of democracy is rice and cow. Sunusi Musa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, you started that. Thank you so much for your time. And I think with Baba Shala Uwaje's comment as well, the eyes have it. Baba Shala Uwaje is a politician and a contestant for the State House of Assembly in Lagos. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
When we return, it's International Women's Day today. More on that when we return.
Today is International Women's Day. And
today is your day. Just say it. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, not welcome. Sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And International Women's Day has been around for over 100 years, as have been many of the issues still impacting women's advancement. Since 1911, International Women's Day has belonged to all who care about women's equality. We need to celebrate women's achievements. We need to raise awareness about discrimination. We need to take action to forge gender parity. This year's theme is Accelerate Action. And I was shouting just before we came on air that that's a very apt theme indeed. Beijing happened in 1995. This is 2025, 30 years ago, and there are still 4 women only in Nigeria's Senate. We need to accelerate action. We have with us a clarity coach, Motolani Falabi.
Good morning.
To talk Women's Day with us. She's with us in the studio, and we also have joining us via Zoom, Fumito Agosto, who is an education consultant. Good morning to you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay. Tolani, International Women's Day. Accelerate action. What actions are we going to accelerate? What actions do we need to accelerate?
Action starts with the woman herself. I think it's high time that women begin to take up the lead and not wait for things to be handed over to us. Number one, do you even believe in yourself? Are you aware of who you are as a woman, the potentials, the qualities that you have? Do you feel less? Do you feel like when you're with a male, do you feel less intelligent, less important than that person? So it starts with every woman. If we're going to accelerate the change that we want to see, every woman needs to begin to stand up for themselves and not wait for someone to hand over power to us. When you're in the place of work, are you putting in the same level of work that the male counterpart is putting in? And then when you don't get the same reward, are you keeping quiet about it? Oh, just because I'm female? No. So it's high time that women need to begin to stand up for themselves, begin to fight for ourselves, begin to collaborate with other women so that our voices are heard, rather than waiting for anyone to come fight for us. At this point, actions that need to be taken has to start with every woman.
Do you really think that women are waiting for things to be handed over to them?
Recent times, we have seen that dramatic change where women are beginning to say, you know what, I'm no longer waiting. I'm one of that woman who is not waiting for things to be handed over to me. I can do it, I get it done. You want to challenge me as a male? Bring it on. Skill for skill, intelligence for intelligence. I feel like women are ready. However, we also have that generation who is also trying to stifle the potential of the girl child that they have. Oh, this is how we did it. Oh, you are too ambitious. So it's now the mothers, it's now the older generation who is trying to pull down. But I see a lot of women fighting to say, you know what, with or without you, I'm going to get this done anyways.
Okay, let me ask Ms. Augusto. So is there a place, first of all, I don't know if you agree with Mrs. Falabi here, talking about the purpose, the function of accelerating action beginning from the woman herself. Ms. Augusto, can you hear me? Oh, okay. We'll come back to her along the line. So I want to ask you about the place of culture. There are those who would point out to you that, you know, culture has played quite a significant role in positioning. Yeah. Be it mental, or psychological, emotional, whatever, that positioning. Is there a way that the culture plays a role, or culture can reverse the trend?
So culture is what brings about the stereotypes that women are made to face today. So you hear, oh, women are homemakers. So women stay at home, regardless of how intelligent you are. You're expected to be the one who builds the home, who takes care of the family. So even if you have a partner whose work or whose role can be done from home, and you are the high flyer, you are the career woman, you're still expected to be the one who builds the home. That's culture. Because of course our mothers are the one who build the home, who are home. But we have amazing women out there doing amazing things. But culture has stifled that role to say, oh, you have to be home to make babies. And the workplace has also not made it easy. So you have amazing women. I see quite a number of them who, in school, brilliant, and then they get married, they have babies, and you're asking, what's happening? What happened to the dreams that you had? Oh,
what happened to your brain?
Yeah, what happened to your brain? The brain is still there, the intelligence is there, but I'm taking care of the children. And of course, where culture also feels that the man should be the breadwinner. So the woman is doing amazing. You know, she has the money to run things, but she's supposed to pipe low. And that is where you see a single lady who is doing amazingly well, who probably has an apartment, has a car. Yeah, well, if you want to get married, you need to pipe down on these things. You shouldn't have your own apartment. Why are you driving a car? That's why you're not married. You know, you hear such statements and you're wondering, oh, okay, so because I now drive a car, I have my own apartment, nobody's going to marry me, because it feels to culture that you are now becoming the breadwinner when it should be the man who should be the breadwinner.
I'm going to make Alero also a participant on this conversation. I'm the only one who is... What?
You're the only one who's...
A man. On this set right now.
Well, obviously, yes.
So, I'm going to ask you, because I'm asking you because of the generational disparity. I'm no attempt to put you on the spot. Because one of the things we've had over time is sometimes it's the women putting down other women. Okay, let me see. I hear that Ms. Augusto is back with us. Madam, I don't know how much of what we were talking about you have been listening to, and I was just about asking the question of the generational disparity and the fact that sometimes it is the woman, some women that are putting down the voices of other women. Oh dear.
It's very difficult. Then sometimes women feel that with women.
women on.
Oh, well,
technology is not cooperating this morning.
Yeah, sincerely, but we hope we really hope that we'll be able to have you on this conversation. So, Alera, you want to quickly speak to that? Because sometimes
what was the
that's the challenge. It's the voices of women putting down women.
I don't know how true that is, because when I ran a consultancy, the top echelon of my staff were all women. And to this day, I find that I work better with women. Men always have one thing or the other, you know.
Like what?
First of all, I couldn't put 100% trust in men. They had issues. That's the only way I'm going to put it. And like I always said, and I always say, I find that in places where money is involved, you find that because men have, like they say in Yoruba, honor lakbo, they, even if the women are going to steal, they don't tend to steal as much as the men.
At least you agree that they both steal. You know, I don't know what your take is on that. Because we've had situations where it is the woman, other women. Okay, I'll give an instance. I mean, what Alera has said is one. There are those who would say, my husband is contesting for the role that you are contesting. I'm going to vote for my husband and not you, a woman. My husband wants the same role that you want.
No.
Why will I
support?
That's not because the person is a woman.
No.
It is
just fighting for
my husband.
Yeah, for our family.
I mean, it's me, my husband, and my children against all the others.
Yeah.
And that's just one instance. You women, you understand what I'm saying, no?
Whether the contestant is a man or a woman, I will still stand beside my husband.
Yeah.
True or false?
True.
So how come we have more men in the National Assembly and more men in the State Houses of Assembly? Is it that the women don't have the voices? Women are the ones who campaign the most. Women are the ones who sing. Women are more in the political parties. So how come it's the men that are taking the seats?
I think it was during the last election that I saw the poster of this very beautiful woman, and I'm like, oh, I like her. So I went online, started reading about her, and I was in a group of people and we're discussing, and somebody said, oh, by the time she wins this election, we'll be sure that she's not the one running that office. It will be her husband running it through her. Because, of course, culture says you submit, not just culture now. So it would be expected that whatever this decision that this woman would make in office, she has to subject it to her husband. So that's the reason why people say, I won't vote for her, because we need to now test the intelligence of whoever it is that she's married to. That is also one stereotype that's influence or affect women. And of course, you also hear things like, oh, meetings when you're politicians, you're out late nights, and because you're a woman, you should be home to cook for your husband. You can't be out there doing all of these meetings. You're in the midst of men and all of that. So I think this is also some of the things that affect women winning in politics.
You know, in all of this, I always say to myself, have you ever gone to any hotel anywhere in the world and met a female chef?
Good question.
The chefs are all men.
Men.
So what is all this you have to go and cook for your husband?
Sometimes even the men cook better than their wives.
Why can't the man cook for his wife sometimes?
Well, why can't you men cook for your wives? It's International Women's Day today, for instance. Please don't take her out. Take her to the kitchen.
Cook for her.
No, don't take her to the kitchen. Let her rest.
Let
Watch
her
TV.
Stretch her legs.
Yeah.
Women will say, I want to be looking my husband like this.
Well, let's be sure that let's be sure he doesn't burn down the kitchen one and is making the right meal.
The reason I'm asking this question, because it is an equilibrium of sorts, almost the same balance of females in the Nigerian population as male. And it's the same all over the world, in a good number of communities, in a good number of states, in a good number of environments. All over the world, the population kind of balances out.
And let me also add that there's no research anywhere in this world that has shown that men or the boy child is more intelligent than the girl child.
Or better in any manner, shape, or form. So
None.
How do you think we can begin to thankfully you are a clarity coach and you have worked with families in family engineering and all of that. What do you see as the bedrock of the problem? Because I'm trying for us to look forward, to look to the future. There are women who have seen so many movies. I don't know if you've seen this movie, 6888, led by this, this wonderful black woman. The challenge that I see is we tend to box women mentally, more mentally box them than in terms of their capacity. Yeah. So how do we begin to readdress this?
So when we say family is the production factory of the society, that's where it starts from. What efforts are parents putting in to ensure that whatever it is that you're teaching the male child, you're also imputing in the female child, so that your male child doesn't grow up. Yes, or the other way around. And not the, oh, you go into the kitchen, it's okay for the boy to play, or you need to focus on your academics. It's the girl child that you're worried about who will get pregnant. You're not worried about the boy maybe doing drugs or doing other things. We do not position women for success from the family. It's just recently that parents or families are beginning to say, you know what, if I could do this, or even the things that I couldn't achieve, my girl child can do that. I believe that from the family, we can't change that narrative. It would start from the parents. When you have a male child and a female child, are you exposing them to the same level of knowledge? If your girl child says, oh, I want to take a career maybe in the male-dominated industry, would you allow for it? Or would you say, oh, no, that's too risky, you can't do that? Are we limiting the potential of our children? So I believe that from the family, we could fix that. And of course, there has to be more awareness. We need to come together, women who are doing amazingly, come together and begin to also coach other women. Let them know that these things are possible. If I could do this, then you too can do it. It's one of the amazing things that we can do to help the next generation.
Alera, you know what is interesting? The United Nations website about the International Women's Day quotes the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. I'm looking at it right now. So, and they say that this document is the most progressive and widely endorsed blueprint for women and girls' rights worldwide that transform the women's rights agenda in terms of legal protection, access to services, youth engagement, and change in social norms, stereotypes, and ideas stuck in the past. Now, if we are to make progress from here, Mrs. Falabi, there are various sectors, engineering, medicine, judiciary, politics, economics, and all. What do we need to change, particularly with young women? And I'm looking at young women from rural areas, because rural areas see urban Nigeria as their United States of America, as their London. So what do we need to change in the mindset? What do parents need to help them to get? I'm aware there is a young man somewhere around me who is still, after like 3 or 4 girls, is looking for a boy child. I'm wondering why. So
not enough.
What do we need to change in society? What does society need to understand?
I think that if we begin to also sponsor or fund female-led initiatives. So for example, STEM, tech, can we begin to sponsor more girls? Can we go to these rural spaces and sponsor these girls who are truly interested in these things and not limited to the male child? Can we begin to fund women-owned organizations, businesses, so much that they are also able to, because this thing spans down. If you empower one woman, she would empower 10 more women who will go on to empower 100 women, and it goes down like that. So if we begin to, on the immediate, pay attention to them, let there be an awareness to say, if the male can do this, you also can do this. Put up programs. Make it free for these children to be able to attend. Let there be provisions for equipment, gadgets, something that they can use. Let it not just be, I know that there's a lot of STEM programs out there. Can we take it to this? Are they even funded?
You are talking about the environments
the
where
education.
the women themselves have not been schooled to believe, no.
No, I can't do this.
Your place
for the
is
male.
as a room.
Yes.
And so
it's in the kitchen.
It's in the kitchen.
It's in the kitchen
Yeah.
and all of
So
those
we now
things.
need to begin to orientate these children. If we have programs, go to schools, teach the girls. You know, it's not just enough to women empowerment. How are we empowering them exactly? With what skill? With what knowledge are we empowering them?
How much have we done in the 30 years since Beijing? Have we done much? Have we done anything?
I think we've done a few things. I wouldn't say we haven't done much, but like it said, accelerate. We need to put in more action. The women who some of these things are being done for, do you doubt yourself? Do you believe? Because I said it at first when I started, that it still starts with the woman. A lot of these things can be put in place for you, and if you don't believe that it's something you can do, the effort will be wasted.
Wasted, indeed.
Yeah.
So, ladies, you have successfully told me that in organizations today, a woman will not say, why should it be her? Why not me?
Well, even a man says that. Why should it be him and not me?
No, those ones, they know they don't have a choice.
Well,
It should be by capacity. Who can do the job? Who can get the job done?
Mrs. Motolani Falabi, a clarity coach, thank you very much for coming to talk to us about
Thank you for having me.
International Women's Day, which is May 8th of every year.
And thank you also, Mrs. Augusto. We know that the technology just played the normal fast one. Well, when we return, we haven't had a word of the week in a while. Don't worry. When we return, I understand, you see there are so many colors in here, even our guests wore so many colors. But we understand that there is something called the colors of diet. What those colors are, we'll find out when we return. Here we are, here we are. You saw so many colors, but our guest is already saying there are colors, some colors are missing.
Kaleidoscope of food.
Or rainbow, whichever one. Anyway,
Okay.
you know, when you were a kid, wait, did you have crayons in your time?
Yes, we did.
Oh, I'm just
Come on.
Just asking, come on.
I mean, what do you think I am? 100 years old?
Well, close.
Now we know who our friends are.
Now, the one with the most colors, you wouldn't have dreamt of having a picture, drawing a picture in drab neutrals, would you?
You wanted the red, and you wanted the yellow, you wanted green, and you wanted blue. All represented. Then you can do a lovely picture.
Wait, what's the color of what
Even
you're
if it
wearing?
was just
What's the
purple.
Oh, it's not indigo. Sorry.
It's nowhere near indigo, thank you.
I'm just asking questions.
Many men are colorblind.
Yeah, we know. Well, the colors of healthy diet is what we want to talk about now. What are they? Let's ask our guest this morning, Dr. Bisola Kadiku, who is a naturopath. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
There are those who will wonder, first of all, colors of diet?
Colors of foods.
Colors of foods. What does that mean?
You see, we nutritionists have we talk about what we call the rainbow colors of food. So food has its own rainbow colors, and I tell you, if you do not have them inside of you at least 3 times a week, you're likely to come down with chronic diseases. That is the reason why most of us have chronic diseases. Now, I will talk about the rainbow colors. I think that's what I should start with. We have red. Everybody knows about red.
Tomato.
You know about tomatoes,
Red
strawberries, watermelon, red pepper, red bell peppers, and all that. Then we have the orange and yellow. Well, it's orange, yellow. The reason why we classify them together is because they have what we call the same phytonutrients. That's the carotenoids. So we have the yellow and the orange. The red, by the way, has what we call the lycopene.
And what does that do for the body?
Exactly. Let me just go over all the colors, and then I'll tell you what they do and why you would need that variety. You know, you need to eat it, why you need it in your diet. And then we have the green. The green contains the chlorophyll. Then we have the purple and blue. On your picture that you showed, I didn't see purple and blue. Yes. And I'm here to talk about the purple and green, the purple and blue. It's not so common. Many people don't include it in their diet. Is
this the color you're talking about, the rainbow you're talking about?
Yes, you can see the purple there.
Oh, great.
You can see the blue there.
And blueberries.
Blueberries, yes, the blueberries. So I've talked about 6 now. And then do you know the one that people leave out? The white. Yes, the white. You can see that there's no white there. All these pictures don't represent good nutrition. That's why we nutritionists...
Okay, white.
Yes.
So what is white?
White is onions. White is mushrooms. White is garlic.
Mushrooms are not part of our diet in this part of
yes.
the world.
In the traditional setting, the Yorubas call it olu.
Yes.
In Ekiti.
Do they eat a lot of onions?
Yes, in Ekiti.
Excuse me, please, don't insult. Please,
My daughter-in-law is from Ekiti. And honestly, the first thing that they used to entertain us there was mushrooms. Wonderful. The Ekitis don't joke with mushrooms.
Well, we eat a lot of onions anyway.
Yes, we eat a lot of onions, but is that enough? Some people don't even eat garlic. They eat it in the wrong way. They heat it up, and then garlic loses its value. They say, I don't want to be smelling of garlic. But I eat raw garlic every day. Am I smelling of garlic? Can you smell?
Well, I'm not close to you.
Oh, I could come close to you, and then you see.
But what about the way we eat our onions? Is that healthy? Because we cook with it all the time.
Yes. You have to cook onions. You can cook, you can eat it raw. Yes. Onions contain a fiber. They contain vitamin C, quercetin that may help in preventing cancer.
Black food?
Black food. No, well, we classify the black food under the purple foods.
Okay.
So let me tell you what they all contain. So
where do we find purple foods?
Okay. Purple foods, eggplants. And then the African ube, African pear.
African pear, of course.
Then you want me to talk about the blue and the purple? Because I'm so excited about it.
Yes.
Okay. And it's because it's not so common. Not many people eat it. But I eat it almost every day because I know what it does. I go to every length to make sure that I have purple food blue food in my diet at least 5 times a week.
Like the pear as
like
well?
What?
Well, yes, the African pear. It's purple.
Which is the African pear?
Ube.
Okay.
Ube is one.
But it's seasonal. It's seasonal.
Yes, it's seasonal.
Yes.
We have blueberries. I know that's not common.
That's not here.
Yes, but you can go to every length to make sure that you get it.
It's expensive.
Oh well. Try the hospital bills nowadays.
Okay, that's even more expensive. Okay, all right.
They contain a phytonutrient called the anthocyanin. The anthocyanin recently has been found to help to prevent cancer. You see, the way it works...
No, tell us more blue and purple foods.
Well, that's it. It's not common.
Ah, okay.
It's not common. I've only mentioned 3. We have, of course, in Asia, they have you won't believe it, the purple yam. So, you see, in every culture, God gives you something that will represent that. Like for us, it is ube.
Yes. We have the purple sweet potato, haven't we?
You see?
Which they say is more nutritious than the white one that we have.
Yes,
the white one is more common in these parts.
Then there's also, Yorubas call it cocoa.
Cocoa.
Yeah.
Cocoa is
purple. Cocoyam.
Cocoyam. Yeah, it's also kind of purple.
Yes, it is purple. But you see, all these have been phased out of our diet.
People don't seem to even grow them anymore.
You see? That's why we have a lot of chronic diseases. That's why we're coming down with the Oyinbo man's disease that they call cancer. It's foreign to us. It is. Because we phased it out of our diet. So that's why someone like me will go to any length to get blueberries, because I know that no way am I getting there.
So tell us what each of these colors.
All right. So you see, red fruits contain lycopene, like I said earlier. Lycopene is very good for preventing heart diseases, especially in this time that, I don't want to say it, but allow me, in this time that we've all taken that dreadful vaccine that is known to cause blood clots.
COVID
Yes.
vaccine.
So, well, the mainstream want to argue and say that, no, it's not what's causing blood clots, but it is. We have cases of people dropping and dying. Do you know how many people I know in the past 1 year that even young people sleep, not wake up? So I am charging everybody to do something about that. I am charging everybody to make sure that you take care of your heart. Try to prevent heart diseases. Eat red fruits. They contain lycopene. And then we have the yellow. The yellow and orange, I said, are classified together. They contain what we call the carotenoid. The carotenoid is an antioxidant that boosts your immune system. You know, when you have a cold, they'll tell you to go and take oranges. They'll tell you to take a lot of pineapples when you're coughing. So you see, that's what they do. And then we have...
Is carrots. Are carrots under in that
Yes,
category?
carrots. Also, they're good for the eyes. They're the ones that carotenoid, particularly something called beta-carotene, converts to vitamin A that helps your eyes. So, you know, when you have eye problems, just think about orange and yellow fruits. Eating it a lot, you know. And then we've talked about 3. And then we'll talk about the green. The green helps to detoxify. That is why when people are detoxifying, you find them taking green vegetables. But I want to say that be careful on green vegetables, especially if you have taken the vaccine or you have hypertension, or you have blood clotting issues. Be careful. I once had a patient who did not just follow my diet, the diet which I gave to her. She started, of course, scouting for information on the internet, and then she read about green juice and was taking green juice every day. And she came up with blood clot problems. And I asked her, what are you doing wrong? Are you doing anything outside of my advice? She said, yes, that she takes green juice every day. I said, that's the problem. It contains a lot of vitamin K, and it helps you to clot your blood. You have to take it, you don't just hop on the internet and just do anything. That's why nutritionists go to school. We are in school for 4 to 6 years. Some of us have PhD in nutrition. Why the need if I can go on the internet and do whatever anybody puts on there? So we had to correct that with a lot of money. She almost died. So go easy on green foods. So we've talked about red, orange and yellow, green, and then
purple and blue.
Purple and blue, anthocyanins. Anthocyanins, there's a recent study on it. Do you know that it actually blocks that cell cycle? The cell cycle, the cancer cell cycle, thereby not letting it grow. So you see, there's some cancers, when I'm treating them, there's some cancers that, they say there's nothing you can do about it. So I tell my patients, there's nothing we can do. This won't go away, but we will stop it. We will stop its growth. So we use purple and blue foods to help in this situation. We include it in their diet heavily. And then you will find the cancer cell not growing. It won't grow. And then patient is able to live longer. Is able to live another 10, 15 years. So I'm so excited about anthocyanins.
Let me ask you
Interesting.
This, because essentially you are talking about natural medicine. I've not heard you talk about some injection. You're not even talking as much about chemicals, even though they're looking at them from the natural fruits and all of those things. Essentially, you're saying, natural medicine should be our way of life. But the question is, natural medicine is not as popular. It will not win the election.
Not in Africa, I would say.
Okay. Tell us about that.
All right, I was in Sri Lanka last November, and I was in my PhD class, and I realized that there were a lot of mainstream doctors in my class, natural medicine, and I was asking them that, what are you doing here? We're 2 poles apart. And they said to me that, all right, one of the therapies in natural medicine, for instance, is acupuncture. I don't know if you know much about acupuncture. But in the definition of acupuncture, you will find treating diseases that Western medicine does not have an answer to.
Wow.
Yeah. Creating energy flow into that dead tissue, into that dead organ, and making it work again. So where am I going? So the lady doctor told me that there are some patients that cannot ingest anymore. They can't take pills. So what do we do? Acupuncture has been found to help. It's a traditional Chinese medicine that has been proven to work. Then also, nutrition. I always tell people that the manufacturer of Toyota made that car to run on petrol. And it's only petrol that that car would recognize. Now, when you feed your stomach that is created by the Almighty God with his food, with the food that he created, they recognize each other. And they work well. They work better with one another. But when you feed it with man-made, it begins to get confused. Where is this coming from? Where do I put this? Do I call it carbohydrate? Do I call it protein? Do I call it? You confuse it.
But you know, more and more, we're reading that more people are going to natural cures for their issues. So we read things like, make your food your medicine, and not the other way around.
And make your medicine your food.
Make your medicine your food, yes, that's it, that's it. Make your medicine your food. So a lot actually is, more and more people are seeing that what you ingest is very, very important,
yes,
if you want to live a healthy life. So how true is all of that?
Like I just said, that's what your body recognizes. And that's what your body will respond to better. Natural foods. And you know, God has, he's taking care of all diseases, I tell you, all, inside the food that he provided for us. Okay, let me just quickly tell you something interesting. I once read it on the internet. Some cowboy jumped on the internet and said, cancer feeds on sugar. So if you are treating cancer, don't take fruits that are sweet. I laughed a lot.
No, don't eat sugar.
Don't eat sugar. So, but then in my studies, we were taught that in helping cancer patients to overcome this disease, you know, there's some natural substances that kill cancer cells. I'm not going to mention them here. We hide it. We hide it inside something sweet that is healthy, like maple syrup, like honey, pure honey. We hide it in it. The whole idea is for the cancer cell to eat it, so that while eating it, it's gulping down poison to kill it. So in our own human wisdom, we do that. How much more God? He made that banana sweet because he knows that he has put something inside that banana, that his own natural sugar is safe. It's not like artificial sugar. It's safe, the body needs it, it converts to oxygen that the cancer cells lack. That is why they went cancerous in the first place. So starving yourself of natural sugar in the first place will make you get to that destination you don't want. So you need the natural sugar. So he gave you the natural sugar and is hiding inside it the phytonutrients that would kill the cancer cells. Blueberries are sweet. And I've told you about the anthocyanins. How will the cancer cells eat them if it doesn't make them sweet? So please, nobody should run away. Blackberries also. We classify blackberries under the purple and blue. So they have anthocyanins.
I hope the cancer cells are not watching TV this morning.
Well, they don't like me and I don't care.
You don't get on.
A cancer patient once told me that anytime I come to you and I listen to you, I feel well. I feel like, nothing is going on. And then when I leave, it seems like these demons come back. I said they don't like my voice.
So, I don't know how to put this, but I'm going to put it anyway. You said, and rightly so, some of these wonderful nutrients have been, quote unquote, phased out of our nutrition. I was asking my family which day. When I was growing up, we had so many options. We hardly repeated foods. Today, you almost have to eat rice every day for whatever reason. Now, what people have begun to use to address some of the issues they have is what they call, this other alternative to medicines. I don't know what you call them, supplements. So rather than, take medications, or you take medications and then you take the supplements and all those things. But some of the opinion out there, even though you have spoken to it a little, I'd like you to expatiate, is that natural fruits are costly. And maybe rightly so. But what would be your recommendation? Because most of the issues we are talking about here, they are more urban-based than rural areas. Right? So what would be your advice?
What do you mean they're more urban-based than rural?
I'm not sure how many of such cases I've heard of cancer or this other, as you called it,
in the rural
disease,
areas, yes.
In the rural Nigeria.
Yeah, that's why, I keep saying let's go back to basics. Let's go back to basics. Some people have stopped eating eba. They want to eat semo. What is semo? Did it grow from that farm? Eba is cassava. Cassava is an enemy to cancer cells.
But some people say that when you eat too much eba, you have
eye trouble.
You have some say you have eye trouble if you drink too much gari, and if you eat too much eba, you have a big tummy.
I wasn't taught that in my nutrition class. If you take too much beer, you will
get big stomach. Okay. Not gari and not eba.
Gari.
Okay. All right.
So then something you have almost always advocated is to keep the distance from farm to table as short as possible.
Yes.
Please help us understand it better.
Yes. I always tell people when they find it so complicated and they find it difficult to understand what I mean by that, you pick up any food, think about it. Did it grow on the farm? Did your spaghetti grow on the farm? Did your bread grow on the farm? I would rather eat yam that grew on the farm. So the yam, harvested, comes to the market, and then you put it on your table. That's the way it goes. You cook it and put it on your table. Make it simple.
Not the one that was made in a factory.
Or packaged.
It's been modified. Modified.
All right.
The structure has been changed. The DNA has been changed. It's just like farm animals. Animals that are supposed to be in the wild, graze, like the snails that you get from the bushes. How do you begin to understand what a snail eats? How do you begin to imagine it? Do you walk with that snail every day to see what he eats, and then you decide to keep it in a farm and give it what you imagine would love to eat? It doesn't have all the nutrients, So I mean,
I think you're gonna this new year, you're gonna come here more frequently. Because we want Nigerians to live more healthy. We want us to, well, it's not like some people said I should bring you every week. Sorry. I hope people are ready to pay. Thank you so much for coming here this morning, Dr. Bisola Kadiku. Don't worry, in another few weeks, we're going to have you back here to talk about some other things with us. Truly appreciate your time here. Dr. Bisola Kadiku is a naturopath. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Go to your kitchen, first of all.
Check the colors in your kitchen.
Colors? How many? What's the minimum colors we have to have in a week?
5.
5. Okay. So if your
red,
colors...
yellow, green, purple.
So red is on its own, green is on its own, white is on its own. So you choose either yellow or orange, and then you choose either blue or purple.
Or black.
Or black.
All right. When we return, let's see the color of your dance with our next...
Well, you can't imagine the amount of energetic dancing that's been going on in here. All because we have Mike Abdul in the house. He's still dancing. He's still dancing.
Very well.
And I have called him Alagbara Mane. And that is because his music, his dance, everything is so energetic.
Come on now.
Why did you choose that path, first of all?
Well, I think the path...
Because when you were... I don't want to hear that one. When you were growing up, when you enter church, in nomino vobisco.
You know?
Father.
Come on now.
You know, everything has to be gentle.
The
Holy Spirit is not in a hurry. According to some people. You know, there's no rush. When you come to the gentle. So why did you make the Holy Spirit to be jumping up and down?
It turns out to also be the spirit of joy.
The spirit of joy doesn't have to be running all over the place.
Joy has several expressions. So the one we chose is this jumping up. I can carry my body.
I can carry my body.
Come on.
The first time I heard that, I said, I can carry my body. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So you woke up today and you're able to move.
Yes, you can.
There are many
who cannot.
Who woke up today and couldn't even get out of bed.
Yes, please. Yes, please. It's
so
a heavy testimony.
I am thankful to God.
Yes, yes, yes.
You still haven't answered my question.
It's also prophetic.
Huh?
Yeah,
what way?
It's also prophetic. For a lot of people who we have met in the hospitals, anytime they see us, they believe I believe I can carry my body too. We say, yes, you can. And they keep singing that to themselves all the time, encouraging themselves that, yes, beyond whatever is happening to me, yes, I can do it.
So, you know, I get the part of the prophetic nature of your music and all. Music has all of its functions all over the place.
Yes, it does.
But so also does it kind of come with some kind of rowdiness in some. When you begin to move your body and dance, there are no limits.
When you begin to carry his
When you
body.
begin to carry your body.
Come on now.
And you now say you're one of your proteges. Give me chance.
I want to say
give me chance. His face is small.
Amazing.
The space is small.
Yes,
You say you want to carry your body. How many do you want to carry it to?
I mean, it's just what it is. We're increasing the joy quotient, you know, in the atmosphere. We don't want people to look at, be morose because of what they feel is going on. I want them to look beyond whatever it is they think the economy is. We want to tell them that there's an economy that supersedes the one that you know. So you eat, be joyful, carry this body.
Okay, now, let's go back to the beginning.
I wonder why he's not in broadcast. We'll talk about that another time.
How did you get into music?
Well, always loved it. I always loved it. Even as a child, you know. I particularly loved King Sunny Ade,
so much as a child. I just liked his nuances. I liked everything about him. I liked his smile. I liked the percussions. I liked his dance. I liked his voice. I listened to his lyrics even as a child, and I'm like, this man is intelligent, you know. So I've followed music like that, you know. I like the joy.
So did you study music?
I did not. I should have. But of course, in order to please my parents, I had to do electrical engineering. And give that to them. They wanted an engineer.
Oh, you gave it to them.
They gave it to them. I said, take it. You have achieved it. I didn't.
Oh, you have achieved it.
I did it because that's what you achieved. You got an engineer. Congratulations. Now I can move. So that's it.
No, they don't have an engineer. They have an engineering graduate.
Oh my God.
They're two different things.
Hey, they own the certificate. Why don't you do it?
And then you went to do your own thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which was music.
I love it.
So, for those who are, anyway, you know, I mean, we've asked you this question tons of times, so let's move into some other things. You know, Alera, one of the issues that I was hoping that I would be able to raise with Mike this morning is that of legacy. Many people in their space have grown. You have begun to become a mentor to some people. You have, can I say, seen it all, done it all, know it all, so to speak, in the music industry. What are the minefields, or rather, what are the mines in the minefield that you have had to navigate? Some missteps, some corrections, some errors, and some things that you think need to be done better?
Well, several things. We always get to several excesses, you know. Music as it is, you always need inspiration. So a lot of people turn to different things for inspiration. That's why you see that you trace most substance misuse to musicians.
Creatives.
Well, yes. You know, so you trace it to a lot of creatives, and then, of course, that's an issue that should be looked upon. Once you know that there are obvious alternatives, you know, to getting inspired, all right? There are ways to do it, you know. So I think that's a major one, I must say. And then another part of it is also money management. When money starts coming in, it gets to us like strange, because we never had that kind of money before.
Now you can do anything.
You understand what I'm saying?
You can buy anything.
To anything. You know, you just start misbehaving, so you don't have the intelligence. You don't know how to navigate.
Did that happen to you?
Well, what some of them are called it? Only if you jakara dear. So I ate a few akaras. Small akara here and there, and then I woke up like, hey, this akara is oily. Yes, sir. You know, I think those are some of the things, actually. But over time, some of us, we mature. And then, talking about legacies, we also try to put workshops together where we invite a lot of young people, and then we're able to share our experiences and tell them what we think is the right path.
Sorry, before we go on to this thing, there's a part of that song that I just heard now. And I've heard that kind in 2 songs.
Okay.
In this year and in Ojoro.
Oh!
Ayoyo.
I love it.
Ayoyo. What does it mean?
It's a question. It's a question.
I know.
What does it mean? Ayoyo. Ayoyo.
Yes.
What does it mean?
So in songwriting, sometimes you may not use specific words. You may just create sounds that depict an idea. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, want to describe dance, and I say, bed. You get what I'm saying? Yes. So I've described dance with using sound. So that's what I've done with Ayoyo.
You have to do it in 2 different songs.
I tried not to. I tried not to, but it was tough. But I like that you noticed it. I want you see the idea. I want a connection, so that when you hear it here, you hear it there, you be like Kilo Jele. I want that.
You want what?
So it's deliberate. You know, sometimes we intentionally. In fact, there's a song I'm doing right now, that I'm writing right now. I'm taking it as a clone from one other song I've done before. So I'm cloning that other song, but I'm introducing it in a different way. It's going to be out like pretty much soon. It will take time before people know that. You know, it's art.
No, some of us cannot miss it.
But it's art. It's art. It's what we do.
English.
Okay. You were part of the Midnight Crew.
I am still.
Oh, are they still alive?
Very much, yes.
Oh, okay. Tell us about that. Who are those who make up the Midnight Crew?
Yes.
And why is it that Midnight Crew has gone a bit quiet?
Midnight Crew has not gone a bit quiet. Midnight Crew has gone quiet. Not a bit. We've gone quiet, really.
Why?
Now that's because I think Midnight Crew contributed beautifully well. And I think that the contribution is laudable. I honestly think that there's always a quiet time. There's always a quiet time. Even not just for groups, even for individual artists. That sometimes you want to move on to some other things. Or some other aspects of life is taking prerogative. Yeah.
But when you say you still are, you make it sound like Midnight Crew is still very much here.
Oh yes, because tomorrow if we decide and we come together and put sound together, once again it's Midnight Crew. We're still here. Well, I mean, our ladies live in the UK. Myself and my second guy, Benga, we live in Lagos. And that's why that's one of the reasons, really, why it's a little bit difficult to have Midnight Crew together, do stuff. But it's difficult, but it's possible.
Okay, now, over time, as we began to talk about, there are quite a number of, forebears, that you have in music. The Wale Adenugas, the Kunle Ajayis,
yes.
the Mike Haremus,
yes.
Probably your contemporary, and several others like that. I'm talking about legacy, not as much in the light of what you do or are putting in place, but what your generation of musicians have to bequeath to the future. When you started, we didn't have streaming platforms.
That's true.
When you started, it was CDs and cassettes.
Yeah. Yes.
But now, I have a problem, Alero. When I get on any of my streaming platforms, I don't want to advertise any, even though I pay money for it. I can't, no matter what the playlist, I can't avoid Mike Aremo on my playlist.
Wow.
Sorry, Mike Abdul on my playlist. And I'm wondering, did this guy pay them to do all of these?
Thank
you.
So,
is he using some kind of juju on
Oh, you juju. So what I'm talking about in terms of legacy, what are the things that the younger generation, those who are not even in the music yet, what are the things they need to know? What are the things your generation has to put in place so they don't make the mistakes you made and they eat less akara with epo, with oil?
Oh my God. Okay, I think basically legacies are most of the time not intentional. Like, most of the time you're not doing this because of a legacy. Most of the time, right? It just turns out that if you do it well, you have left legacy.
It becomes a legacy.
It becomes a legacy if you do it well. So I would say, honestly, my generation did a great job. Like the Mike Aremo you mentioned. Before Mike Aremo, we didn't have anybody do that.
Yeah.
Mike Aremo was the first of his kind. And right now we have several of him, right here. I think Mike should just be proud of himself, So I think several other people also, in that generation. Before us, church music wasn't this vibrant. It wasn't this vibrant.
It was very holy.
Well,
very proper, very
perception.
You know what I mean by very gentle.
It was gentle.
Solemn.
Very solemn.
Yes, conservative
So,
yes.
No, we had more worship and praise.
Church music was not for dancing to.
Thank you.
In fact, if you dance,
You left that to the discos.
yes.
Come on now.
In fact, if you danced, you were unholy.
Come on
Correct.
now.
Correct.
So that's it. So we left the dancing for the discos. That was a problem. So we decided that we will not leave the dancing to the discos.
Bring it into the church.
Oh my God, not just the church, oh. We'll take you to the world.
Let's dig it.
We'll take you to the world. I think that's what some of us did, exactly. That's it. You know, a lot of us, our intention was not to create Fuji for the church. It was to do gospel Fuji.
Fuji?
Yes, for the world. It was to give the world an alternative information. You know, so we enter the culture. That's what we did with that sound and music. We enter the culture and then we tell them, yes, we are in this culture, but this is the information we have for this culture now. So we influence how they think by entering their culture. That is why right now, I've said it before, right now, if you're going to have a party, not a Jesus party, a party, most people are asking the suppliers of music, do you do gospel? Because they want their children to be safe. All right? So we've seen a lot of gospel artists influence that. And I think that's amazing. I think that we just thought that it wasn't okay to leave the gospel in church. It should be out there. I mean, there's no point leaving it in church.
Well, I like what you said. We're rounding up, but I like what you said about Fuji.
Yes, sir.
Because it seems like Fuji is now mainstream.
Come on now.
I mean, when the first time I heard Mike Aremu was Fuji.
Mike Abdul, please.
Mike. What's the difference between the two?
I don't know. I'm going to call him after.
the first time I heard Mike Abdul was Fuji. And it was, you know, singing Fuji with Midnight Crew and all. And then everywhere. And we'll come back to that. But, you know, the Fuji part...
Yes, please.
...has kind of gone mainstream.
Yes, yes.
No one can tell me, for instance, that Ashake is not doing Fuji.
Oh, he is.
Oh, he is?
He is.
Wow.
Yes, he is.
Ashake
You're wondering how
Fuji.
I know or what? But he is.
I thought it was... He was hidden.
No, he is. He is. There's a lot of Fuji elements in his sound, yeah. A lot. It's there.
And there are a few others like that.
Yes.
So that's like our gift to the world, that's from Nigeria?
Well, I would say so. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Mike, we only have 1 minute left. This is still the first quarter of the year, 2025.
Yes.
What are we looking forward to?
It's going to be an amazing year. I did a song, I called it Oh My Loud. And that's what I'm still saying.
Please say it the proper way, not Oh My Loud.
Okay, so I did a song, I've called it Oh My Loud. That is going to be loud.
It will be loud.
Oh My Loud.
Oh My Loud.
Yes, sir.
That's
It's going to be loud.
To say it properly. Oh My Loud, no.
Oh My Loud. So that's my belief for the year. It's going to be loud. We're putting stuff together, and when it's time to dance, we're going to be dancing real heavy. We're not taking it easy.
So we have plenty to look forward to in the course of 2025.
Thank you very much. Yes.
So let me just say it in public.
Yes, sir.
You were not here in December 2020. Don't explain.
Yes, Daddy.
Come and explain it December 2025.
I promise.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So Mike Abdul closes Sunrise for today. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for hopping all over the place.
Thank you.
People are looking forward to hopping all over the place with you.
Thank you.
So that's Oh My Loud.
Oh My Loud.
Oh My Loud.
Oh My Loud. Oh My Loud.
We'll bring you a fresh edition next week. I'm Alera Edu, wishing you all the best until I see you, until you see me again next week.
What do you mean by that? Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your weekend, but don't forget to carry your body.
Come on now.
Carry your body. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.